Hello and welcome to another edition of Coffee Talk with Immigration Attorney Brian D. Lerner. We are talking about advanced degree PERMs and what needs to be done in order to process them. We've done some introductory videos, but now getting down to some nitty-gritty items. In order to submit the PERM, there needs to be a prevailing wage, and the prevailing wage is basically what it says. It is a wage that the government says is normal for a person working in that particular job in that industry with those particular requirements. Now, I've found in the past, generally speaking, that the prevailing wage seems to be a little higher than what might be normal. But if you want to dispute it and fight it, there are ways of doing it, but it's not easy. So for the most part, what the government says is the prevailing wage will be what the employer has to pay the beneficiary once the job begins. Now, the prevailing wage determination, also known as PWD, is determined by actually filing a single form at the iCert portal where the account was created. Now, there used to be all over the place ways of getting the prevailing wage. You'd have to file with the EDD or the local employment agency, also known as SWA. And then there was different procedures depending what state you were in and what needed to be done. But they have centralized the prevailing wage determination by filing this form 9141 and getting that to the appropriate person. And what will happen is you will get documentation back showing you what the prevailing wage is, depending on, again, what the level is. The prevailing wage is determined on several different things, such as the nature of the job offered. So there's different places that the attorney will look in showing what exactly the job is. That's ONET, and that is basically an online resource from the Department of Labor with all the jobs known to mankind somewhere in ONET. And then the area of intended employment will certainly have an effect on the prevailing wage. So if you're going to be working in, Manhattan, New York versus Oklahoma, clearly the prevailing wage in New York will be quite a bit higher. So those are some factors. Also, people who are similarly employed, they do look at that as to what might be normal for this type of position, and whether or not there are any unions and so forth that might impair, impede, or affect the prevailing wage. And again, if you want to submit your dispute of the prevailing wage, you can present an alternative survey, which has essentially a lot of different requirements to do. But if, for example, you were expecting the prevailing wage to be somewhere in the neighborhood of $50,000 and it comes back at $100,000, and you simply can't pay that, and it's not what you would consider anywhere near the prevailing wage, then you should present an alternative survey and meet the necessary requirements in order to try to get that done. Okay, more on the coming